Hello everybody and welcome to this playthrough for Master Division with various wind, giving you my best advice on how to attack this course and the holes that we are playing. Before we have a closer look at all the content, if you do enjoy the free content that I do provide here, make sure to hit the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel and turn on the notifications. For those of you that are looking for more free content, you can go to goldclashtommy.com where we have loads more as well. But those players that are looking to step up even more than that, then you can scan the QR code or you use the link patreon.com/goldclashtommy. You can find in the description down below. There you can go to our platform where we do have our premium guides. There we help thousands of players every single season in Gold Clash to have more fun and improve their game at the same time. Checkpoint challenge, tour play, tournament play, we have something for everyone, so check it out. Last but not least, if you want to follow along a little bit easier in this playthrough with the shots that I'm taking, then you can use the information in the info box there on the right hand side. Club distance adjustment, elevation adjustment, also what ball and club type I suggest you to play with. Those are just suggestions though, so you don't have to follow it if you don't want to, but there's always a plan behind it. So let's go to hole number 1. Hole number 1 in headwind, we are still being able to reach down the fairway to position ourselves for a short iron towards the pin. This is a hole that is quite funny, not funny, but quite fun to play in if we do have a tailwind, because then we can actually go for the green, and that would mean for a very simple eagle. But having the headwind, we're gonna have to lay up. So I'm using half a ball of right curl, I'm using a luminary. My intention here is not to waste any of the really good balls. I don't really see it's gonna matter that much, because on the approach is still gonna be such a little amount of adjust that it's gonna be like perfect is in regardless. Max plus 20 on the drive, and then that's gonna leave us to a short iron towards the pin. And I decide to rather play a short iron from min here instead of having to play a very long distance wedge. I think there is a lot of people that are watching this video that do think the same as me here. So from the min line, we're getting the ball guideline just through the hole. We're playing either with a falcon or we do play with a thorn. I decided to play with a falcon here because that's what's actually what I had in my bag. Minus 10% elevation, and we play for min. So if we're playing rings for min, then we play minus 10% elevation. But again, it depends on what type of wind direction we have. That elevation may be tweaked, playing 0, plus 10. Regardless, it's all about getting this ball in the hole. So even if we do have a headwind on hole 1, if you shall have anything to do with a decent position in a Master Division, this is going to have to be an eagle. Hole number 2. In Master Division, from the third tee, we are looking more and more to play rough bumps here. Either from the bottom rough like this, or we are on the left side of the green, or we are on the right side of the green. It all comes down to what you prefer. And the reason for that is that the fairway that we otherwise bounce on is very hard to control. It's a very finicky one in my opinion. Adjustment will vary massively. It all depends on what type of spins you're setting and what type of aim point you have. 10% elevation is the default elevation to use on this particular hole, but don't steer yourself blind on that number, as you can definitely play with many type of different elevations to suit the overall adjustment, that the overall setup that you're using. Clips the rough, rolls up onto the green, and dropping nicely for the hole-in-one. Hole number 3 in the direct headwind, what can we do? We can lay up. Boring! But that's the way to go. So we're doing a P1 NMT with our quarterback, set the max top spin and the 2 right spin. And then we are swapping to our APOC bag, adjusting max plus 10. And then the intention here now is just to make it as simple as possible to land close to the rough line without rolling into the rough or also rolling into the water. Because if you do roll into the water, obviously you will lose a shot. But if you roll into the rough, then you will not be able to reach from there. So this is a perfect way of just lay up here and just to position ourselves for the sniper on the approach. Using all the topspin here, using to bounce on the fairway into the big rough over the water. And no, the water is not in play here, so you don't have to be afraid of that. But this is a way of attacking the pin for an albatross and not just having to play for a simple eagle. Adjust is going to vary slightly depending on the wind angle, but it's going to be around 1 to 1 here. So 0% elevation, somewhat around 75% club. And as we do have the headwind, it's either you do a push-up or you do some sort of overpower. And we decide to do a push-up in this instance. Perfect ball. And it bounces on the fairway into the rough, rolls up onto the green and dropping nicely for the albatross. Obviously, that this is kind of the worst possible way to attack the pin for an albatross. And what I mean with that is if we do have a crosswind or we do have a tailwind, we're going to try to get over the water. And then that leaves a much simpler chance with a long iron or a short iron towards the pin. But it all depends on the wind angle of tee. For hole number 4, we are going to do another rough bump. So we are setting 5 topspin and 1 right spin, and that became a little bit too little in terms of topspin. So we are doing 5.5 topspin and 1 right spin, looking to have the red ring as our reference point by the rough line. Ball guideline to point just short of the hole. 20% elevation is the default elevation for this hole, but don't be afraid to change the elevation depending on what type of play you're playing and what suits the best together with the overall setup that you're doing. We make the adjustment and then we are looking to center the ball and hit perfect. And doing this type of rough bump is a very good chance, in my opinion, for a drop. This is a par 3 where I go in somewhat expecting myself to, if I'm not dropping, I should be really, really close. Take your game to the next level with our Ultimate Tournament Text Guides for Expert and Master Division for the Oktober Meadows 9-hole Cup. This is a steady wins tournament, which means that we do have the same win from the start of the qualifying round to the end of the final round. If you do want to get into the action and improve your game in Expert and or in Master Division, you scan the QR code here on the screen or you use the link in the description down below called patreon.com/golfclashtommy. Once you do sign up, you get immediate access and can start using our content. We do have the Telegram chat as well, which is our support platform if you do need any assistance or you just want to interact with fellow members. If hole 5 has a headwind of tee, we are in some serious boring problem. And what I mean with boring is that then we're playing more or less purely for an eagle. Sure, you can absolutely go super duper aggressive where you can have a chance for a albatross, but it's such a slim chance where the risk is not worth taking it because the reward is not going to be that good. Adjust max plus 10, we're using left spin, we're using top spin. Here we're not using all the top spin that we can. In hindsight, that would probably be better. But using 7 top spin will do one thing, is that we'll always be bouncing under the tree like that. With max top spin, you could be a little bit unlucky and clip the tree and get actually a shorter drive than what we do have here in the video. On the second shot, we are using our Cataclysm, using 2 left spin and using 7 top spin. The intention here now is purely get ourselves the eagle. So we are using the ring references to the left by the rough line together with the second bounce to be just into the bunker like that. And the reason we're using a reference like that is because we want to obviously make sure that we're not going into the sand here. Because what we're going to do is that we're going to adjust, we're going to use curl, and try to bounce on the fairway and then into the rough to roll out onto the green to get ourselves the eagle. It sounds extremely complicated, but it's the way to go, in my opinion, to give ourselves the easiest time to get the eagle. Because once again, if we do have a headwind like this off the tee, this is the way to play. I would not consider going for an albatross be a smart move, in my opinion, in a scenario like this. Hole number 6, and here we are going to push it over the left hand side. We're gonna do our best to get there. And you can see that we are looking to have the second bounce clearly on the fairway before the rough, and then the third bounce to go over the rough. Max plus 10 is the adjustment using 3 left spin and 7 top spin. Now, using a ball with more power would obviously allow us to not have to go with overpower. You can also back up and use a starting position that is much more further back and somewhat use max OP with a slow needle instead. So, in my opinion, from a guide perspective, this is a pretty poor type of design. It gets to the place we want to, but we could definitely have done it slightly different to not have to use that type of overpower that we have in the video. Second shot, you either bounce on the fairway up towards the pin, or you are going for a rough bump. For me, the rough bump is an interesting way, but I'm definitely not ruling out bouncing on the fairway further back. What the rough bump is going to do is that it will give you less air time, especially when it hits the ground the first time, as the rough will then slow the ball down and the ball will then roll up towards the pin. Aiming on the right hand side here to compensate for not missing on the left hand side. Adjust is going to be different. It will differ massively depending on what type of wind direction you have, like if you're pulling down into the bunker or not, etc. But no elevation for the second shot is the default, at least to work from. But don't be afraid to tweak that to suit the outcome that you're looking for, which is obviously to get a drop, or if not getting a drop, get as close as possible. Hole number 7 is the last par 3 of the Vineyard Acres, and we are doing a P1 NMT, 5 backspin, and using 1 right spin. And NMT is always lovely because that will obviously take away one of the key things in the overall setup, which is finding the aim point. So we're already done that. We're setting simple spins. Adjust is 20% elevation as per default. But I say this now more or less on every par 3 here, that don't be afraid of change the elevation or the club distance, or both, to suit the overall setup that you're playing. The intention here is to bounce on the fairway over the fringe to land like that, and then attack the pin dead on. The reason I don't want to catch around the fringe is because there is a downslope there, and if you catch the wrong place, then you will have a speed roll, and that will still make you have a simple putt for the birdie, but it will not give you the chance for the hole-in-one. Hole number 8, starting with a quarterback at P3 max rest. It's a very common way of doing things when it comes to Master Division, to start with a club with less power, to then allow to swap to a club with more power to utilize the max overpower with a slow needle. Now, this is a play where you see the drive with a win 5 ball, the second shot with a win 4 ball, meaning that you can play with either or. Here, I would recommend to not play with a win 3 ball, as a win 3 ball is going to be very, very difficult to be consistent with on the second shot. Max plus 10 is the adjustment, and we're using curl, and then you can see the max overpower with a slightly slower needle, getting the ball down to approximately 380 yards. Second shot, we are using our Guardian. We are doing a pin check here for our reference. Have in mind that it doesn't have to be that type of reference. You can use another reference if you would so like. I'm using 1 right spin as well, trying to catch a little sticky spot that is behind the pin. Now, you can use the Guardian backspin if you would so like. It's always going to be super safe. You're never going to be in any trouble if you do hit great or you make a bad pull angle or stuff like that. But you do have the possibility to go for rough bumps around the green, and I would recommend for you to have a little look at that, because the rough bumps could be better. But it comes down to what type of player you are. Some players do not really like to take any risks at all. Some players do like to take a lot of risks, regardless how good the outcome is with the risky option or the less risky option, if we can put it that way. Bounces on the green, up onto the fringe there, takes the turn, roll back and dropping for the eagle. Hole number 9. Here we are going to try to lay up as close to the rough line possible. This is not a possibility here to reach over the rough to get to the other side of the fairway. The only time we can do that is if we have some sort of a tailwind and have the possibility to play with a topspin boost ball. Make the adjustment that is max plus 10. I understand that a lot of players in Master are used to the max plus 20p0, but for the standard elevation this hole, we play 10% elevation here. Getting the ball to bounce on the fairway, using spins to really attack. Not really, right? But we're looking to be consistent with our drive distance, because that will, believe it or not, help a lot on the approach. Now, using our Cataclysm to have as much distance possible, together we'll be able to use a decent chunk of topspin too. Letting the aim to be towards the right side of the top end bunker with the ball guideline. Adjust is no elevation. We use max numbers always, because we will more or less always be at the max distance of our club. Here I'm using max overpower, and this is a design that comes from a tournament with this type of shot, that I'm using spins depending on what type of range I'm in, and then the max overpower to somewhat help not having to do something in between. You can obviously do this type of shot in many different ways. You can back up, use more topspin and stuff like that as well. So it's up to you to decide really what you want to do. The third shot is going to be a short iron towards the pin, and this is a pressured one. Now, obviously, with precision ball and such, we have a little bit of an easier time to hit perfect, but it's still going to have to be the correct adjust, going to have to be correct ball centering, correct pull angle, and all types of stuff like that. Now, this is a particular hole where you benefit loads from having a guide. Not to plug too much, obviously, but it is just that, because then you will know what type of reference you have if you haven't built one yourself. I like to play this type of shot with no spin if possible. I have nothing against using side spin or backspin or topspin, but I like the possibility of playing with no spin, because it speeds up the whole process, in my opinion. And all the seconds we can speed it up with, the easier it's going to be for us to be consistent with the 3 most important things, which is pulling straight, center the ball, and also have a good pull angle. No elevation on the third shot either, but as I always say, don't be afraid of tweak based off the outcome you get from either practice or a previous round. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching this playthrough for Master Division with various wind for this tournament. I'm giving you my best advice on how to crush all the holes. If you do look for more content, you can find more free content on our website golfclashtommy.com, or just browse the YouTube channel a little bit more. But for those of you that are looking to take that little extra step, then you go and search for our premium guides. You can get to the platform by scanning the QR code, or you use the link in the description down below called patreon.com/golfclashtommy. Join the largest guide community on the market for premium guides, and that is us. And we would like to offer you our help to improve your game. So sign up to any of our packages, try for yourself, and see how we will improve and make you have more fun with the game of Golf Clash. Thank you so much once again for watching. I wish you the best of luck in your Golf Clash game.